And happy coconut to you. Happy coconut to you. I hope you're all having happy coconuts today. I have no idea what this is reference to. Okay, before we get too crazy on things, I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. So let's check all the things. Do I have audio? Do I have video? According to YouTube, I have at least one of those things. So either this is a mime act right now, or it's a podcast. One or the other. So, hang on, this is too hot. Got to turn down the gain on the microphone. So I don't know where this coconut thing came from. Stephen started off saying that he feels like I have a lovely bunch of coconuts. And I don't know if that is, I'm just going to run with it. I don't know what it means. All I know is that I know the best coconuts. So I don't have them standing in a row. They're not even slightly organized. My coconuts are totally disorganized, as you would expect. So good morning to everybody. Good morning, Mitchell. Oh, which reminds me, I have not opened the chat. Let's see if this opens and if the password is the one that it recalled. I may not have stored the password properly, or it may have been the password from a previous time. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to get the password back out of my chat history with Mitchell. So, where are we? Pardon the mess while I get myself sorted. Oh, yes. Looks like it is going to work. Activate.
System connected. Activating the super house.
Yes.
Squirrel.
We now have chat. We now have chat to speech or something. So, continuing the good mornings. Good morning to Gavin, Henrik, Some Call It Fun, Imi, Luminator, Amanda, The Lane, Keith, David, Sharky, I already said Henrik, Russell, Mitchell, thank you. Justin,
coconuts.
Is that the theme for today? Maybe it is. Don S. Waiting in the lounge for my flight to San Fran, then home to New Zealand. Heading home in time for Christmas. Well, Christmas is still a couple of weeks away. I don't know why I keep thinking Christmas is like 2 days away. It's not. It's a couple of weeks away. Yes, Celtic Beast. Password 123 is exactly it. Steve is in the house. Who else is here? Dodgy is here. Good morning, Dodgy. Peter is also saying it's lunchtime, which, yes, it is barbecue day today, but it is not barbecue time yet, Peter. Calm your coconuts down. We will get there. Have you seen, I see that shaped like 6-pin SMD RGB LED. No. Oh yeah, Gavin says, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, sung by Merv Griffin. Yeah, there is a bit of a crazy song about that. Now, oh, and Chip is here. Sorry, I skipped over you. Medical things. Unfortunately, sadly, Chip and Imogen both have the spicy cough and can't make the barbecue today, which is very sad because they are the barbecue regulars, along with Keith and Stephen and a couple of others who come pretty much every single time. I hope you start to feel a bit better and that you're not sounding too much like a Bridgeport 13B when you try to breathe. Although that would be pretty impressive. That could be fun. Also, Amanda, yes, good to hear that you are making good progress as well. I know I won't say anything too much about that. I know you you do talk about it a little bit publicly, but it's not my place to bring things up. So all I'll do is say I'm really glad that you're doing well with 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 the effort that you're putting in. Sounding like a yeah, Jack's Tech said it's going around, sadly. No, it isn't fun, Chip. That is not good. Mitchell said, I had the flu 2 weeks ago. It was horrible. Yeah, the flu is not good either. Oh, thanks, Amanda. Yeah, I know. There have been times in the past where I have disclosed personal things publicly when it was not my intention to breach any confidences or anything. So it's just made me more cautious about that sort of thing. I know you have talked about it on Facebook and in chat as well. So yes, it's up to other people to to make the public statements and of their personal situations. But it sounds like you're doing well. I'm really glad about that. So, where are we? Okay, so coconuts may be the theme today. So, Henrik said that there are some things in Discord for me to check out as well. And I will probably get to that because I do not have a... Hang on, check it out, maybe later. No, Discord is throwing messages at me. All right, where in Discord? Oh, is this okay? Yeah, Henrik keeps changing his name in Discord, so it's always like a lucky dip. If there is an unknown, like a message from an unknown user, sometimes it's Henrik, sometimes it's not. I just never know.
Said Steph, proof of life now.
Steph, proof of life now? Okay, Steph. Let's not worry about Steve. Steph is here. In fact, let's, I'll see if I can do this. What can I use? I need a box. This box will do. And there. I don't know if I've got them in the right place, but we can probably do something like that. Oh, there we go. Focus isn't great, but... Oh, and now I've got the wrong face camera. Yeah, the focus is down on the bench surface, not above the bench surface. Dodgy said what? Yes, Dodgy is just proving that coconut thing and said, I'm married to an 8-foot tall gorilla, but don't tell anyone. All right. Yeah. Mitchell says, I very seldom get sick. Even when dealing with a lot of people, it hits me when I relax. Yeah, that does seem to be the pattern. So, what is this? All right, can you show this on the stream? It's only a few seconds long. So, Henrik has sent me a video, and I'm going to... Hang on, I'm just going to hit mute first on my computer because I don't know what's going to happen when I click this link. Oh, it's a YouTube short. Okay. I am going to do some messing around. Oh, that! Yes, I've seen this one before. This is cool. Cool and creepy. What is it? NE222M. What is a 222M? NE222M. NE222M. Is it a real part? It takes us to that creepy thing. No, I don't think it's a real part number. That was the old one. Scroll down. Okay. No. Alright. Henrik wants me to show a different video. We're scrolling down. Looked like this. No, that was... Ah, hang on. Maybe there's another short? No, armbar tip. Oh, look, it's Chewy from Jiu-Jitsu. No. Okay, let's leave this one on. Just to creep everybody out. Right. Peter said, such lovely weather outside today. Well, I have just been moving things around, and I got up early today. I was here late, moving stuff around in the lab, trying to get things a little bit more organized, and I got up early, so I've only had a few hours sleep. I got up early, came in, did some more cleaning up, then went to the supermarket and got supplies for the barbecue, and then came back. So I'm actually feeling pretty hot right now. Oh, the pictures, okay. PC muted. Oh, it is too. There we go. Yeah, that's the audio from that video. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, and you can see what I was looking at. What was this? 50 milliohm single channel automotive smart high side switch. Yeah, so you can see the data sheet that I was last looking at. Pretty cool device, actually. This thing is a high side switch. This is probably worth talking about. High side and low side switching, because this is, oh, that chip is an NE222, except that the N is backwards. Is that like a Russian, yeah, a Russian character? It looks like it. All right, so photos. I am going to, how am I going to do this? I'm going to click on that and then click on open in browser and that. I'm just going to open a bunch of things. These are the things that Henrik wanted to show. I don't actually know what this is. It says the wires are extremely thin. Also, it had a pass-through connector at the end, so you can link them out. Just 220 volt socket on this, but I like the LED shape, so I remade the controller more waterproof. So this is how it's meant to be. This is meant to be put outside. Okay. So what Henrik is pointing out is that this thing is intended to be sold as an external device. And look at this LED. So this LED is in, it's almost like a crystalline sort of shape. That is quite cool. And yeah, okay, so that is the power cable. Right, that does seem fairly poor quality. That looks like a WS2813 LED, and programmed mini controller. I don't know what this is. Anyway, let's close those up. So for today, oh look, footprints. Another tab, you can see what I was doing. Making footprints. Right. Lips ink. Funky Town, yeah. Hopefully it doesn't get me a copyright strike though, because it was only a very short thing. Now, okay. High side switching. I have had some interesting experiences over the last month or two with, how do I put this, with ground reference. I don't know if this is actually a topic that anybody wants to talk about, and if anybody wants to throw other topics at me, go for it. But I'm just thinking about how I can talk about this. What I need what I need is like a tablet linked to my computer so that I can sketch and have it come up on the screen live while I'm drawing on it. Like, you know, like Network Chuck does. If anybody's seen Network Chuck's videos, he sits there with a tablet, I think, and like a pencil, maybe, I don't know what he uses. Maybe it's something like an iPad with an Apple Pencil. So he sketches diagrams while he's talking about them, and they appear on the screen, captured for his videos. And it looks quite effective. It's a good way of conveying information. So what I'm doing right now is looking around the room for a piece of paper because I am going to draw a little explanation of some of the weirdnesses.
Peter Lawler said use whiteout on your screen to...
Yeah, whiteout on the screen. That'll fix it. Fix it right up. And yeah, Chip says Wacom, maybe. Let's see, if I go to this view and come over here, yes, you can see me now. I've just got to pay attention to where the camera's field of view is. It goes down to about there, and it goes up to about there, and then my face starts about there. Okay, so high side versus low side switching. Let's say we have a power source and it is like this, and the classic circuit is load like that, and you switch it through. So when you interrupt the power, you're interrupting the positive side. Very obvious. This is like basic stuff. You can also do it on the other side, of course. So functionally, you can do this and it is exactly the same thing. I've screwed up my thing there. So if you interrupt the power to the ground, in both cases you are interrupting the power through the circuit and you're turning the load off. And the classic way of doing switching of loads from a microcontroller is to do something like this. Say we've got a MOSFET, and I will, instead of doing like the negative, I'm just going to use a ground symbol. So what we do is we put if this is an N FET, like an N MOSFET, and then typically what we do is have an I/O pin from the microcontroller going through a resistor just for safety purposes. You don't actually need this one, but it's a good idea. Say a 1K resistor there, say a 10K pull down, so it biases the gate low. And so what we do is have the load here, and that could be coming from the positive there. So effectively this is the negative here. And then we've got an I/O pin. So when the I/O pin goes high, it turns on the MOSFET, which is like turning on the switch, and then current can flow from the supply through the load down and complete the circuit. Now the reason that it is typically done on a microcontroller this way as a low side instead of a high side switch is that it allows you to switch loads that are running at a higher voltage, and the I/O pin from the microcontroller only has to go high enough to turn on the FET. So the FET might have a turn on voltage, I'm just making up numbers because it'll be something like 2 volts. Basically the VGS or whatever it is, so DS, so the voltage between the gate and here needs to be at least, say, 2 volts or whatever the spec is on the MOSFET so that it will turn on. If it's below that, the MOSFET will be off. If it's above that, it'll turn on. So what this allows you to do is, say, switch a 12 volt load with a 3.3 volt I/O pin. So that might be 3.3 volt I/O. So it drives it up to 3.3 volts, which goes above the 2 volt threshold, turns on the MOSFET, and then power flows through the load. And that means that you don't have to drive, if you had the MOSFET on the high side, you would have to drive the gate up to a voltage that is above, basically you've got to go 2 volts higher, or whatever this VGS thing is here, than this voltage, which means you need to drive it with 14 volts, and you can't do that directly out of a microcontroller, and then you end up with multiple power supply requirements, and it just becomes a total pain. So low side switching like this is typically the way it's done. But it can have some problems, and I ran into these problems in 2 different ways recently. One was if the load is not just something simple like turning on an LED or a motor or something like that, if that load is some kind of an electrical subsystem, say it's a chunk of circuitry, sometimes you can get away with switching it on the low side, basically removing its ground or its 0 volt reference, and it'll stop running because the power can't complete the path through the circuit. And so that is a problem though if there are any other connections to that circuit that reference this driving part of the circuit. So in this particular case, what happened was, this was in one client project, the load that was being switched was well, there are two loads that we were doing this with. One is a security camera and the other is a mobile broadband router. And so in this case, the load, I'm going to make this box bigger because I just want other connections from it. The load, say this is controlled by a microcontroller, this load actually had other connections coming off it, like it had serial comms, it had TX and RX pins for serial comms, and it had other pins for its own I/O. There was all sorts of stuff going on. So there are other connections between the load and the other parts of the circuit. So if we've got the ground reference coming through here. So what was happening was that when the ground was disconnected, parasitic power through these other connections, these data pins and things, because it wasn't fully galvanically isolated, it was just things like I/O lines connected to other parts of the circuit. Once it had its ground removed, and it ended up with a floating ground here, but then the voltage differential between, say, the positive supply going to it, which was still there because that hasn't been switched, we're low side switching it, which means that it still has this potential here. The difference between that and the I/O pins and that parasitically powering back through other parts of the circuit meant that really weird things were happening. So if you are switching something that is not a trivial load, like it's not a basic LED or something, and you want to control the power to this subsystem from, say, a microcontroller. Say you've got a part of your project that you want to turn off. You want to have the power to that subsystem controlled by a microcontroller. This is not a good strategy. And so the way to solve that, there are a couple of ways to solve it. Three ways to solve it. I could probably, if you give me a few seconds, I could probably come up with more. The first way, which is not a great solution in many cases, but I just mention it in passing, is actual galvanic isolation. If this were, if for example you had opto-isolated I/O on serial comms and whatever else it happened to have, taking away the ground reference is not going to be a problem, because the opto-isolation means you won't get any parasitic power effects and you can isolate that subsystem, turn it off, everything will be fine. But that's a sort of unusual situation. You don't normally go for full galvanic isolation on subsystems. So another way to do it is high side switching, but typically with a P MOSFET. And so what you can do is use a P MOSFET, sometimes with a high side driver. And I've done this before. So in a project for another client, what I did was run a high side MOSFET as a switch, and then there are driver chips you can get that act as an intermediary between the output of the microcontroller and the gate of the high side switch. So they've got little, I'm not even sure how they work internally. They're like magic black boxes. But what they do is, I think they use internal charge pumps and they generate the voltage that is necessary to switch the high side MOSFET. So you can feed it with a logic level signal, like a 3.3 volt signal, and it's just a tiny little chip. The one I used, I think it was in like a SOT23 package or something, like a 5-pin SOT23. So what you do is you connect that to your microcontroller, and then the output of that goes to the gate of your high side MOSFET, and it can drive the 14 volts or whatever is necessary to turn that MOSFET on. And that way you are controlling the high side like this, and the grounds all stay connected, and it means you don't end up with that weird parasitic power effect, because you've got a constant ground reference that is common through all of the different parts of your subsystem. So that is method 2. Method 3, and this is what was on my screen, which prompted this whole thing, is I will slide myself back over here. I will scroll sideways and come back to this. So this sort of problem is something that is really commonly faced in automotive type systems, because if you think about electronics in a car, everything is ground referenced off the chassis. So the chassis is treated as 0 volts, and then everything else is relative to that. So you can use low side switching if you have, for example, 12 volts going to a light globe, and then there might be a relay or a MOSFET on the low side to switch that to the chassis. I mean, in that sort of situation, when relays are used, typically they're done on the high side, most commonly, because what you want to do is, if you turn a device off, you want to remove power from as much of the circuit as possible, so you don't end up with a live wire going all the way to the load and then coming back to whatever the switching device is. You want to switch it as early as possible in the circuit so that you isolate that wire, the high side supply to the wire, and nothing bad happens. And Wagon Loads pointed out, Max 232 chip has a negative charge pump. Yeah, that's cool. Sorry, while I was over at the bench, I wasn't looking at chat. I am just catching up on it now. So, yes. Oh, Wagon Loads says, that was the issue I was trying to solve, so I could control 3 floating power supplies over I2C using opto-isolators. Yeah, Jack Sack said, and this is why I use optos on all my data lines. Yep. And Trady says, my industrial gear has heaps of isolation for the PLCs, plus the VSDs make heaps of electrical noise. Yeah, VSDs can be really, really bad for electrical noise. The Wagon Loads pointing out the Max 232 chip is an interesting one. So the Max 232 is an RS-232 transceiver, and these days we kind of treat serial comms as if it's logic level. But according to the spec, I think it's meant to be like plus and minus 12 volts, something like that. And a lot of the time, systems are built so they just go between, say, 0 and 12 volts. That's their RS-232 signal, but they're actually meant to drive negative as well. So, 15, Stephen points out. Yes, I think you're right. My memory was not right. So I think it is plus and minus 15 volts, according to the spec. And so the the 232, the Max 232 line driver IC has built-in positive and negative charge pumps, so that it can generate those voltages higher than the I/O voltages of whatever the microcontroller is that is connected to it. So this thing, so in a car, modern cars have so many electrical subsystems, and many of them, ideally, the vehicle needs to be able to turn on and off. And so what these devices are designed to do, and not just automotive, this can be used in many situations. So this is a, as it says right there, a single channel automotive smart high side switch. And this is designed to take the place of something like a PMOSFET on the, a PMOSFET plus a MOSFET driver going on the high side. and it integrates everything, but it adds a whole lot of extra funky features. Because normally if you are switching a load with a MOSFET, what you are, you're blind basically. You are sending a logic level to turn the load on, but you don't know if the load is short-circuited or how much current it's pulling or anything much. It's basically whatever the rating is on the MOSFET and the rest of your circuit is how much power is going to be delivered. Anymule says, could you use relays to switch both positive and negative rails simultaneously? Yes, you could. You could totally isolate it. However, you may still have weird things happening. If you have a device with multiple I/O pins and you remove the ground and supply pins, you may still find that enough power comes in through those I/O lines and the difference between the I/O lines to power up the device. It's very spooky. It's the sort of thing that people don't generally see, and when you do see it, it's quite spooky. You can have a circuit sitting on your bench with no power supply, just some data lines connected, and it starts running. And it may not run properly. It might sort of half run. You might get weird, like the power LED coming on, but a microcontroller doesn't get enough power to boot or whatever. So yeah, Steven says, I've had microcontrollers entirely power themselves via UART lines. Yes. And Trady says, remember your back EMF if it's a motor. Exactly. So this particular device, see if I can find a picture of it. No, it's so it's an HT SSOP in a 0.65mm pin pitch. It's actually reasonably small. Like when you look at the pinout like this, you think, oh yeah, that's a big part. But it's not. It's a relatively small part and a relatively long data sheet. So I'll see if I can find something interesting. Is there a... Yeah, so here is an application note. So what you can see is VBB is the voltage of the battery, speaking like an American, battery. And so we've got, say, 12 volts typically coming in as vehicle voltage here on VBB. It is being switched inside this chip, and there's an output. So this will be a switched 12 volts out that goes to the load, and then the load is connected to ground. Well, what this diagram is actually showing, this is reverse current path, but I'm just using it as an example of, of how it's connected. So what we've got is a microcontroller on the left, which could be running at 2.8 volts or 3.3 volts or 5 volts. Doesn't matter, as long as its I/O pin is within the spec for what this device can handle on its input. So it sends a logic level signal to this load switch, and the load switch does the high side switching and takes care of, it's got a whole lot of protection stuff built into it as well. So what you can see here, this thing says, current path during reverse battery. So this is a scenario of someone actually connecting the battery backwards and what would happen. And this high side switch has protection against that scenario. It also has protection against back EMF, and here we go, it's got V out short to battery and open load, so it can detect short to battery events. So if, for example, you are switching a load and it turns to a dead short circuit for some reason, and it can detect that and report it. So it's got reporting built in as well. It's got diagnostics that has signals that can go back to the microcontroller. So detection with switch enabled, detection with switch disabled. So there's a dia, where are we? There's so this dia EN pin is diagnostics enable. And if we have a look at, there's an SNS output, that's sense output. voltage transient protection for, it's got like for load dumps coming off the alternator. It's a really tough little device. So here we go. Parameter measurement information. So there's the enable pin. Enable basically is its input. This is what, if you drive this high, it turns on its output. Drive it low, it turns off its output. That is basically just the control pin, is the EN pin or enable. It's load enable. Diagnostics enable is a control level. FLT, I can't remember what FLT is. Latch, sense, and iLim. So you can set latching is whether it will disable, whether it will latch its output off when it detects an error and then has to be manually cleared. What you can do is set it so that if, for example, you apply a dead short across its output, if it's in latching mode, it'll turn the output off and disable it, and then it won't turn it back on again even if that short is removed. You have to actually reset the device before it'll turn its output back on. Alternatively, without latching mode, when you short the output, it turns the output off, and then when you remove the short, it turns the output back on again. Sense, this is iSense, that's that is an output. I think that, I can't remember exactly what this, what all of these stand for. Like SNS is sense, but I can't remember what specifically. That is the output that goes to the microcontroller so that you can read the status. iLim is an input, which is current limit input, so it's got a configurable current limit. You can do hard and soft limits and all sorts of fun things. So basically, and this thing is not ridiculously expensive. I think they're like $1 something. Cool. Mitchell is already on the data sheet. Yeah. I sense the I is current. Yeah. SNS. The SNS output can be used to sense the load current if the cell 1 pin is low and there is no fault, or device temperature if the cell 1 pin is high and there is no fault. Yeah, so there are multiple modes. Functional block diagram, this is it. So cell 1, yeah, this pin was not shown on that previous diagram. So cell 1 is a control from the microcontroller that tells this what you want to be. It's select. Cell 1 is select. It's like selecting what your output is going to be on the SNS pin. Could be fault indication, could be current sense, could be temperature sense, depending on various modes and statuses. Yeah, thermal shutdown, current limit, lots of cool stuff. So, programmable current limit. Yeah. Also, the data sheet in here has, the way they've written this formula is so obscure that it just broke my mind for a moment. Where are we? Equation 1. I want to find the example. There is a spot here where they show calculating the resistor. So one of the obvious questions is, how do you set, okay, let's have a look for iLim. iLim, yeah, so the iLim is the pin. So here we got, what is it? Our iLim is 5K or 25K, and it's got different values there, but that's not the interesting bit. The bit I wanted to show you is where they use the calculation, and the formatting in it is obviously was done, maybe done by an engineer who was not thinking about it from the point of view of iLim, no, not that one. Not thinking about it from the point of view of mathematical representation. Oh, here we go. This is the thing. This is the bit that had me scratching my head a couple of days ago. So our iLim calculation, this is how to calculate the resistor to put on that pin to tell it what current limit you want it to be. Now they have helpfully put an example in here, and the only way but it didn't make sense. to me. Maybe it was just me being stupid and not being able to parse the structure of this equation properly. But here it's got 40 and then in brackets A times kilo ohms divided by 4.5 amp equals 8.89 kilo ohms. All right, so my and nowhere in here do they explain what the 40 is, unless I just misread it or it was somewhere else in the data sheet. But this section here, this whole paragraph, this is the explanation of how you calculate that resistor. And I spent way too long just trying to understand what the hell this was trying to tell me. Okay, I was really puzzled over this. Like, what does the 40 mean? I don't even know where the 40 comes from. I couldn't find another reference to it. Like, why are they saying that it's 40 and then left bracket? Is that A, like A? And also A is version A. Look at this. It says here, because this device is version A, the KCL value in the specifications is A times kilo ohms. Right, so it's version A. Do you know how impossible it is to find a reference to a variable called A in a 47-page data sheet? Trying to do a search for A is ridiculous. It's just a waste of time. So what does this sentence even mean? Because this device is version A, the KCL version is A times kilo ohms. What? It just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, what I ended up having to do was plug a couple of things in here and see if I could get the same answer as this to figure out how this how this equation was actually working. And eventually I worked it out. And even like 2 days later now, I've kind of forgotten. I don't know how this works. But I did come up with some values because I didn't want a 4.5 amp current limit. I wanted something different. And so I tried some different values and I figured out what values to use to get the current limit that I wanted, which I think was 8 amps from memory. Yeah, anyway, it was a few days ago and I blocked out that part of my memory. Surely this subsection of the data sheet here could have been written in a more clear way, and maybe even just with a couple, like a little table with some pre-calculated values for you. Like give you a table with pre-calculated values for 2 amps, 4 amps, 8 amps, 12 amps, something like that. Like just pick some values and then say what the values are, so that you don't have you don't have to sit here and go, what the hell? Anyway, enough of my ranting. Yeah, the A is just denoting it's amps. Yeah, it's a unit. Yeah. So what does this mean? Because this device is version A.
_creations said I've had that issue with TI specs. In the past, I load their examples in Tina TI to help solve it.
Yep. Yeah, take the examples, plug them into their calculator and see how it works. Yeah. What if this wasn't version A? What if it was version... Is there a version B? I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. This sentence just does not make sense. It is... Yeah. Right. Anyway. This whole paragraph should be totally rewritten. But anyway, apart from that, this seems like a very good part. So I have just designed this part into a revision of a board for a client, and we're going to be using it for switching a couple of subsystems. At the moment, I've got a FET that is high side switching the load, and it's kind of a bit of a bodge. I'd like to switch to something like this, a dedicated device that is specifically designed for solving this problem. Somewhere in here it described the problem fairly well. No. Anyway, I've had enough of a rant on that subject. There's no need for me to go on. I probably repeated myself about 3 times. John has blocked the trauma. Yeah. Okay, so what have I been missing in the chat? Austin is here. Yes. And Mitchell says, I think 40 minus is related to the V based on max, although it prefers 12 volts. Yeah. Oh, Gavin said, side chat, what was the Superhouse episode where John soldered up the USB keypad macro PCB? Do you mean this one? Are you talking about the little one that I did? Yes, next coconut. Thanks, Mitchell. We are moving on to the next coconut. The next coconut is, are you referring to this little device? This is from Steph. This is one of Steph Piper's kits, I believe, and I can look up the details. It's very clean, like no markings on the silk screen here, no markings on the top. You wouldn't actually even know that it's from her. There may be something on the bottom here. Nope, very clean silk screen there too. This is an RP2040 board, I believe. So that's a little Raspberry Pi RP2040 with USB, which is acting as a human interface device. And then these just go to, so there's a rotary encoder, which also has a button on it, and then 2 button inputs. They go to I/O pins on the RP2040, and then when you press those, it can send events based on whatever you have set up. Control C, Control V, and volume knob. Yes, says Mitchell. That is what you could use that for. Very, very useful. So the where Gavin? Okay, who was it that was asking for the where is it? I've lost it. Where was the side chat thing? Gavin, yes, okay, it was that one. It was I will find it and stick it up. Where are we? Where is Steph's site? I'm just going to find, because I think it changed name a little while ago. She's, so if I bring this up, this is Maker Queen. I haven't seen this one before. Yeah, so Steph just recently, and you can see a couple of the things I've soldered up on previous things here. Visit my Etsy store. Let's see. All right, I'm going to drop this in the chat. I'm not even sure if this is the right place to be, perhaps with macro keypad. All right, I'll just chuck that in the chat. So, latest projects, projects overview, party button, skill trees, projects, soldering kits. Where was the macro keypad? That might have been on, okay, visit Etsy store. Let's see if it's on here. Although now I'm suddenly wondering, was it even Steph that did this? Maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. I really thought that this kit came from Steph Piper. Oh, Immy. Immy says, ooh, coconut slow. Was occupied when he said hello. I'm sick but alive and managed to get some antivirals to fight the dreaded Rona in an epic battle to the virus end. I'm sure you will come out victorious, Immy. Now, I'm going, let's see, was it Steph, Piper, macro, keypad? Maybe? I don't know. I might be totally misdirecting. Yeah. It could be that it was just a short run thing, like she might have done it as a bit of a one-off, and then has not done any more. Where is it? Here, I'm going to have a look at. I'm going to see if I can determine anything else from this, like whoop, whether I can find any other markings on it. I really thought that it came from Steph. Yeah, Mitchell says this is why branding is so important. Yes. Steph should have put her name on this. No, I can't get those two. I can't get the two PCBs apart. There are two PCBs in a sandwich here, and it doesn't look like there is any silkscreen in between them either. They are just blank. Blank. Blank, I tell you. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't help. If anybody else does manage to find where this comes from, please share. Wagon Load says, does the onboard code have information in it? That is an excellent question. I wonder if I'm going to plug this in. It comes up as a device on the desktop, I believe, because it's running, it should be running MicroPython, and the bootloader, I think, just mounts it. So it's plugged into my computer right now. I'm going to do that. CircuitPy. There we go. Settings.toml. Boot code, bootout.txt, open. Is it going to try to open it in something crazy like Xcode? No. It is just saying that it is Adafruit CircuitPython. That's all it's saying. Alright, let's see what other code is on here. KMK. Right, so this won't be anything custom. This is... KMK is the keyboard, the macro keyboard software, and this is a third-party thing. Keys.py, is that what it is? What can I open this with? Thonny will do. Come on, Thonny. Let's see if this gives clues. I don't think it will. This is just the third-party package. Inkle alphas. Couldn't find the device automatically. Okay. Interesting. It's showing all these files. This must... Oh yeah, on the left it's showing my home directory. What am I revealing? Macros, mosquito.password. You can't see the contents though. Pass, read Zigbee MQTT. Don't know. Talking about MQTT. That reminds me. Some of you may have noticed. Oh no, you can't see it. Ooh. I am going to bring up... I'm going to bring up DroidCam to show you something. Now, is this going to give me what I want? Switch to there. And yes. Okay. So we are now mobile, and this is looking directly behind me. I thought this was actually in the field of view of my face camera, but apparently it's not. Now you might notice, if you look at the front edge of those shelves, something is going on. Yes, the LED strip is back. And if I rotate back over this way, so I'm now looking up at the... oh, you can see the overhead camera that we were using for the diagram earlier. Looking up at the shelf there, and then if I say Alexa, turn on the rainbow.
Okay.
Woo! Oh, it doesn't really show very well. The colours don't come through. But I can say, Alexa, turn off the rainbow.
Okay.
Now, let's see if this is going to work. Alexa, turn on the packaging box.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. What else is up there? I don't know. I can't even read this. Maybe, I don't know. Alexa, turn on the modules box.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. So yes, the system is back. It's only running on that set of shelves at the moment, but I have fitted the LEDs on that set of shelves as well, and I need to get another Pi cam pointing at that shelf so I can then do the mapping of that one. So after all this time, the system is back in action. Sion, you're back! You're back! You're here! Awesome! Yes, moo. Moo indeed. And Luminator is here. I don't think I said hello to Luminator earlier. Right. Gavin said, end of term resulting blues as a teacher. Need a cyber marker buddy. I don't understand. Need a cyber marker buddy? Not sure. I'm having trouble parsing your sentence. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Gavin. Oh, I did say hello. Well, now you got it twice. Right. Yes, just a few ground loops. Sion. Yes, we were talking about this high side versus low side switching, and then about this automotive high side switches with diagnostics. Fun things. Yes, avoiding ground loops, and more importantly, avoiding parasitic power coming through subsystems that have had their... Sorry, I'm just going to kill off Droid Cam on my other phone, otherwise it is going to suck the battery dry. There we go. Oh, it's still running. How is it still running when I killed it? It's not running on the phone, and yet there it is still. I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. Johan is here. Yes, coconuts. Coconuts has been, yeah, Chip says to reboot. I haven't actually rebooted my phone for a very, very long time. Oh, this is my Android phone. So I just a little while ago switched to an iPhone, and I still carry my, I still have my
System
Android phone.
notification. 1 hour
Reboot.
remaining.
I am hungry. I know that came out of nowhere. Sorry, rebooting the phone. Ah, yes, 1 hour, and all it's been is me blathering on about high side versus low side switching and weird things. Oh, so how about a barbecue? Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a good idea. Maybe we should do one today. Maybe in about an hour and a half, if anybody wants to come along. Let's do that. Oh, yes. Also, there is an extra incentive to come along today, and Mitch
Peter Lawler said
is...
FFFOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOO
barbecue is today. And Mitch is making donuts. He is actually bringing along donut batter and all of the stuff, and he is going to make hot jam donuts on the spot right here. And so Chip, you are missing out. Chip and Immy, this is a very bad week to have coronavirus and to be missing the barbecue. I'm going to eat some donuts in your honor. I may eat all the donuts. That is a very distinct possibility. Sounds like a diabetic fit. Yep. Say, Mitch, can you mail us some, please? I wonder what they'd be like by the time they got to Ballarat. Is it Ballarat? I think it's Ballarat. Yes, maybe. I don't know. Converted the reflow oven into a deep fryer. What I need is a wave solder bath and put oil in it. Yeah, cool. All right, coconut time. Someone pass me a coconut, please. And while someone is passing me a coconut,
said e-donuts as a service.
topping up on the iced coffee. Definitely necessary. Wagon Load says, hang on. Mutage was required. Wow. What did I miss? Chip says, if you had a really long reflow oven tray, it could come out at Ballarat. Yep. Oh, Henrik says, I've used a solder pot to melt candle wax.
beer.
No, that wasn't beer. That was iced coffee. So, that's right. So, Wagon Load says, and I don't understand this comment, so I would say switch...
said, yes, please, mail some to Ballarat. Or bring yourself over to make some, rolling on the floor laughing.
It's not me that would be making it. I do not have that skill. Mitch has that skill. So Wagon Load says, I would say switch whatever rail is not connected to GRN. Okay. Oh, and Henrik is offering to send me chocolate. That sounds pretty damn good. I am... What is going on? What is going on? Peter says, come to Tassie. Yeah, okay. Is it going to say it? Why isn't it saying it? Maybe it's hit rate limiting or something. Peter says, come to Tassie and make me food this afternoon challenge. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Pause. I've got to pause my mouth for a moment and reconsider my coconut situation. Now, what is my... Oh, hang on. All right, I gotta click on this link from Sion. So Sion said, "This is my morning." Oh, interesting. So, for those of you who don't know, Sion has been working on an ESP32 watch for a little while called Tiny Watch. Of course it's called Tiny Watch. How could it be called anything else? And doing a lot of work on live streams and things. And so, of course, I assume that everyone here is subscribed to Unexpected Maker on YouTube. If you're not, go and fix that problem right now. Don't even stay for the rest of my stream. Just go and fix that. So, Sion said, I've spent my morning working out how to add a calibrated tilt-compensated compass to Tiny Watch, which is a terrible idea because 1, I'm a bad coder. I do not agree with that. 2, I am terrible at maths. I find that also hard to believe. 3, I'm impatient and have ADHD. Okay, yes, that I totally believe. 4, go to 1. Yep. So here we have a little basic program. What are you all doing today? So here is, okay, I am going to play this. But he's good at basic, says Stephen W. Yes, a 4-line basic program. is this going to, yeah. Tiny Watch S3. There is the internal view of it. You can see it here on Sion's wrist. And the enclosure is designed to use Apple Watch straps. So the way the Apple Watch straps work is that the end of the strap has like a bulge on it, or a cylinder, and it slides into the enclosure of the watch from the side, and then it's held by friction. So this, you can see here the PCB in Sion's watch, USB connection, a couple of batteries, not batteries, a couple of buttons, and the watch with the Apple Watch strap attached to it. It's looking really cool, Sion. This is such a cool project. I want one. But I did notice that you made a comment that you'd broken a couple of screens while you were experimenting with doing the enclosure, and that you were worried about what would happen when people got their hands on these, and would the screens be smashed easily. So yeah, that is a bit of a worry. But I just really like the idea of a watch with an ESP32 in it that I can hack around in and do stuff with. Peter says, why stop at only wanting one? You have two arms. Yeah, so I've got a watch on this wrist. Right now, I am, today, for watch nerds, I am not a watch nerd. Today I am sporting a Cardinal Submariner circa 1968, made in Russia. And that's about all there is to it. Not all that interesting. Yeah, I do have a few watches, but there are only two that I actually wear regularly. It is...
Mitchell R. said come to Tassie and make Peter food this afternoon challenge.
Yeah. Sorry, I am going to be here making food in Bayswater. So I've got this one, which is the old analog thing, the 1968 stylies, and the Fitbit, which is what I typically wear. Yeah, so Sion said, I wrecked the screen, shoving them in and out of the very tight...
Pseudo make me a sandwich.
the very tight press fit case. It is a problem. So, I mean, I could immediately start spouting out suggestions, but that would be... You're the person that has spent so long looking at this. Nothing I say is going to be something you haven't thought of already. Yeah, all I can say is I am very impressed with the job that you've done so far, with how this is coming along. Look at that. It is a thing of beauty. Oh, look. X, Y, Z. Look, you can see the tuning in here for the antenna. Up in the top left, there is a chip antenna, and you can see the ground plane has been pulled back from it. Here is the tuning circuit going down to the ESP32. Oh, the boot button, reset button, 5 volts and charge LEDs, connection to the battery, and on here, connection through to the screen. So, yeah, cool. I like it. I like it a lot. And I want one. Yep. Now, doing a watch project is, I'm sure, like many people, that I've thought about doing a watch project, and it's one of those things that I just never got around to. And I am really pleased that Sion is doing it. One thing I did a while ago is a phone project. And this is something that I have been very, very tempted to go back to and do a new version of a new phone project. In fact, let me see. Because, well, it's partly an ego thing. It's partly a curiosity thing, it's partly an ego thing. I like the idea of making a watch yourself because it's kind of a conversation piece, and you can say to people, "Oh, I made this watch."
Imogen Ann said watches are pretty cool. I like that yours is vintage and still works.
There is a story to this watch. There is a very, very personal story. It was given to me by someone. I'm not going to get into that story right now, but it was given to me when I was a kid. It was second-hand at the time, obviously, because I wasn't born in 1968. And at the time, it would have been, like when it was given to me, it would have been the sort of thing that was like an old watch, but not old enough to actually be worth anything. Like, you know, the point where you just buy it at a second-hand store or something, and it would be a cheap way to get an old watch. Nothing special about it. But the person that gave it to me was special, and I still have it to this day. Anyway, that's maybe a story for a barbecue chat, not a YouTube chat. Last time I told the story to someone, I cried. So anyway, let's get off that. What was I talking about? That's right. So I have thought in the past it'd be really cool to do a watch project, because I'd like to have a watch and be able to say, yes, I made this. I'm not going to do one because Sion has done one, and he is doing a vastly better job than I could ever do. But one thing I would like to do is another phone. I am just looking through my where is it? I'm looking through my projects directory at the moment to find my last phone project and where I left it up to. Where is it?
Said also with your own watch, you can have features others cannot. Lol.
That's right. Where is the phone? Oh, maybe it's in unsorted. Wagon Load asks, does your watch trigger a Geiger counter? It probably would. I was actually thinking about this. Okay, so here's a new coconut. There is a book that came out just a little while ago called...
Austin's _creations said, see the above link.
Oh, okay. I'm going to click this link. Rotary cellular phone. Oh, right. Yes, this is cool. I saw this a while ago. Yeah. So this is a Rotary unsmartphone. It's a Rotary cell phone. That is really, really cool. So there's a prototype put together, reading the pulses from the mechanism to read the numbers. So with those Rotary dial systems, it outputs a series of pulses, and you can read it with a microcontroller. So you dial the number and let it go, and it goes and outputs pulses. What was that warning for?
System notification, 45 minutes remaining.
Oh, okay. Put it into a 3D printed enclosure, PCB, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, very, very cool. So you can walk around with a mobile phone with a Rotary dial on it. I would love to do that. So who was it that created this? I don't recognize her, and I don't remember. Oh, Justine Haupt, obviously. The name is in the URL. But yes, the idea of a Rotary cell phone is really cool. Now, where was I? That's right. I was looking for the project. Where is it? Archive. Is it in the archive directory? No. Where is
Imogen
it?
Ann said, has anyone here had much experience with replacing iPad table screens? I managed to crack my iPad screen and I kind of want to replace it myself.
Not iPads. I've replaced phone screens many times. Hang on, I think I found the RG phone directory. Where is it? Oh no, that's the firmware directory for it. Where is my RG phone directory? RG phone, is that it? Let's see. Nope, that's not it either. Oh, that's the... Sorry, this is not very riveting. RG phone, is it that one? Is it that one? I have... Nope, that is the RG phone library. Oh no, that was the board profile. Bootloaders cores variant. Okay, so I had a board profile for it. Where is the RG phone... the actual RG phone project file, like the hardware design. GitHub, RG phone software, I am pretty sure. Okay, I'm gonna github.com. Oh, maybe it's under Freetronics. Probably is. Freetronics RG phone, because I did this years and years ago. Here we go. I did this years and years ago as an open hardware miniconf project back when it was the Arduino miniconf. Yeah, back in 2013, so 10 years ago. 10 plus years ago. Are there any photos in here? Phone bottom, phone top. Oh, it's just the board files and things. Oh, that's why I can't find it. It's just called phone. Why is it called phone? Phone and phone 2. Here we go. Okay. Now we've got it. I've got to open this up in Eagle, old styles. Ooh. Why is that version 2? I don't know. Anyway, this is... Oh, and this was this was back before I could do multiple sheets, because I still had a hobbyist license back then. So I just cheated and I put multiple sheets on one sheet. So RG phone version 1.2 this was. I think this project might have been while it was in the transition phase. So it used an ATmega 1284p, and there were, where is the module? So it's got Arduino headers on it. You could actually put a shield on the phone. LCD module, and there's the USB to serial converter, FT230X, old style, old school. So there's the USB to serial converter. Now, there is also this GSM module. So this one, what was the module? The H8066, which I think is a 2G or a 2.5G module. So they just don't work anymore. There's no point building this because it won't do anything. Then we've got audio connections here for headphones, and there's a speaker and a microphone on the board. There is the matrix for the keypad over on the right. So you can see the rows and columns for the keypad. So we've got up, down, left, right for the navigation, and then the numbers and crosshatch and asterisk. What was the regulator? PC985. I don't even remember what the 3.3 volts was for, because the 1284 was running at 5 volts, I think. It might have been for logic on the GSM module, but the GSM module took battery power directly. So there's a LiPo charger here. It's got an LTC 4054 LiPo charger on it. And there was a LiPo. So the thing is that cell phones take lots of power. When they are transmitting, they can...
Austin's_creations said, I feel like the WT32 Plus screen would make for a good base, unless you went the BlackBerry route.
Yeah, you're right. that would make a really good base. What you could do is take the WT32 and put a second PCB on the back of it with the GSM module and all the audio side of things, and basically you'd have the equivalent of like an iPhone, kind of, with an ESP32 in it. And the nice thing is that that even has onboard battery management, which is, yeah, so a lot of the problems are taken care of if you just use a WT32 as a starting point. I hadn't even thought of that, Austin. That is a really good suggestion, and it even more makes me want to make my own cell phone again, make an updated version of this. So that's right, that's what I was saying. So the GSM module, look at the dodgy labels and things. Where is power? Where's power? Where's power? Where is the show thing? vSense, VCC, VBAT. Okay, here we go. So look, it's got all these VBAT pins, and it had a bunch of ground pins as well.
Austin's _ creations said no. Plus screen, it is IPS and far better colors, viewing angles. And do what I've done with my current project and complexly swap the PCB.
Yeah, so no, plus screen, it is IPS. Yeah, the plus, not the old WT32 SC01, but the plus version, I think is what you're saying, Austin. Yeah, Jackstack said, GSM basically no longer works now, you'll need an LTE module. Right. Henrik said, also, yeah, the GSM is odd voltage. I've used it with 5 volts, just put like a 2 to 3 amp diode in series and it worked. Janky hack. Yeah, so these modules are designed to work with like a 2S battery essentially. Oh no, just a single cell, sorry, single cell. 4.2 volts nominal, 4.2, 4.3 volts. So this VCC from the battery is a direct connection to a battery. So where is it? VCC. This is the battery connection. The battery plugs in right here. So that is the positive side of the battery is linked directly to the VBAT input on the GSM module. And that way it can pull, because it can pull amps in pulses. When a GSM module is transmitting, it can pull very short but very, very high current spikes. So like when an ESP32 starts up, for example, it can pull quite a few hundred milliamps when it's doing its Wi-Fi calibration, just for, I don't know how long it goes for. It's for milliseconds anyway. It's not very long, but it needs to be able to gulp that large amount of power for a very brief period of time. And that's why the power rails on an ESP32 are so critical. You've got to have decoupling caps on them and things. So the same goes for things like GSM modems, where it'll pull amps of power very briefly when it's transmitting. So if you look at the power profile, it'll be like very, very low and then huge spike of power and then very, very low and then huge spike of power. So typically these are designed to be connected directly to the battery, and they can just suck all the power they want from the battery in very brief bursts. You do not want to feed these from a voltage regulator generally, because the voltage regulator will probably have trouble with the power profile of the GSM module, unless you have like a super cap or something in there to provide that very, very bursty power. Okay. Oh yeah, Trady Trev said, this makes me want to play with the Meshtastic project using LoRa modules. That's right, so Meshtastic is another thing. So it's basically like equivalent to a not a cell phone, but it's like a messaging device, I believe, that uses LoRa instead. So it's not relying on the phone network, it's just relying on availability of a LoRaWAN network. I think it uses LoRaWAN rather than direct point-to-point LoRa. Anyway, what am I doing? So yeah, this is it. This was iGphone 2 If I do that, and then that, nope, that. Was this a 4-layer PCB? I can't remember. I think it might have been. Yeah, looks like it was a 4-layer PCB. Let's do a rip up and single layer isolate, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. Yeah, so you can see the matrix there on the keypad on the right. This is obviously lying on its side. When you're using this as a phone, normally it would be upright. I wonder if I've got some... Where is the RG phone box? It's right there! I can pull it out. Oh, how cool is that? I have RG phones right here. For those who haven't seen these before, this janky thing. So that is an RG phone, and you can see it's got an antenna blue tacked onto it, and there's the battery stuck on the back. There is the I got a few in here. Got different bits and pieces, all sorts of stuff. Oh, there's a one that's mostly assembled. More PCBs, more bits, more phones, more RG phones, lots of antennas. Oh, look at this. Modules. These are AD66 modules. They just need a SIM and power and an antenna, and you've got yourself a phone almost. So what am I doing? I don't know. Oh yeah, this was one of my prototypes. So this will be a version 1 board. Yeah, version 1.0 is this board. And you can see it's got some bodge wires on it. There's a patch going from the reset button down to here. Did I screw up the reset connection? That would be just like me. And there's a patch wire coming across the back here. And you can see this has actually got Arduino headers on it. So the idea, and in fact, if you look, cut that off, that is, oh, even better, turn it that way. Look at it like that. It's an Arduino. It's just that it's an Arduino with a keyboard extending it, and headers. So that's the header for the screen, and the connector on the back for the high-rose module. It's a high-rose connector for the ADH module. So once it's actually got the stuff added to it, it ends up looking like this. Yeah, it's kind of weird how that is like that's an Arduino. Turn it sideways and do that, and now it's a phone. There won't be any charge in this battery. It'll be totally dead by now. Oh, what? Oh my God, look at this. It powered up. It came up. Look at this. Call SMS lock keys 4567. So it's got like a demo. Oh, and the little animation in the corner there that you probably can't quite see. That animation is showing that it's searching for a network. It is the two little boxes going trying to connect to a 2G mobile network that doesn't exist anymore. So microphone is down here. Oh, it's gone. The screen's gone to sleep. I can wake it up. So I can go through the menu with the up and down arrow, and
system notification. 30 minutes
lock keys. Nope. SMS. All right, I'm going to go into SMS. Enter number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll do. Next. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. SMS. Enter number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next. Please enter your message. And this uses, what was that thing? Like if you press this once, it'll be an A, or is it a dot? I don't know. J. O. Come on. N. It cycles through. Yeah, remember how there used to be letters associated with the, I think that's a space, I can't remember. Letters associated with the keys, and there would be 3 letters per key, and if you pressed it once you get the first letter, press it twice you get the second letter. Do it enough times you end up with upper and lower case. It's blanking the screen very quickly. Alright, I'm going to exit out of this. Send? No, I do not want to send. How do I get out of here? I don't want to send. That gets me out of it. Call. Enter number. Anyway, yeah, and this actually worked. Like when there was a SIM card, there's actually not even a SIM in here. And if there was, it'd be well expired by now. When there was a SIM in here and the mobile phone network was working, this fully worked as a mobile phone. You could send and receive SMSs. You could make voice calls. There's no speaker on this particular one right now. In fact, there's not even a headphone jack on that one. There's try to find one with a headphone jack on it. No, looks like not on this particular little pile of stuff I've got here. But you could either put a small speaker on here, or and there's a connection there for a piezo for
Imogen Ann
like,
said, "Oh, to be a teenager in the era of 2G phones."
yeah.
I could text ridiculously fast on those things.
Oh, I hated it. But yeah, so you can plug. If I fitted a headphone socket there, then you could plug in something like an Apple or an Android wired headset, and then just use this for making and receiving voice calls. And yeah, I'm amazed that I plugged this battery in and it powered up. This has been sitting in this box probably for years. It'd have to be for years. I am shocked that this still has any life in it. Happy days. Happy days. 4. Yeah, 4, 5, 6. These other menu items are just, they're bogus items. If you select it, it doesn't do anything. It was just a like placeholders in the code for the UI. At the moment, it's just saying init up in the top left because it's trying to initialize the network connection. But yeah, anyway, that was once upon a time a fully functional mobile phone running on an ATmega 1284p. So I'm going to unplug this just to prevent the battery totally dying. And back to that view. And this is what is going on under the covers. So anyone who comes along to the barbecue today, you could have you could check it out for yourself. Have a look at the real life Ardu phone. Yeah, so Henrik was asking me to try it, but no, 2G doesn't work in Australia. Henrik asked about measuring the voltage. I am actually curious about that. Alexa, turn on bench 1.
Okay.
Let's see what this was. I'm hearing a very loud car out the front. No, it's just the people behind, I think. Let's see, speed. I've got to get my lab instruments back on the stream. What voltage does it think it is? 3.97 volts. That's actually pretty decent. Yeah, that little LiPo still has just under 4 volts on it. Almost 4 volts. Very impressive. Yeah, so. Yeah, Mitchell was just pointing out that Estonia is about to shut down. In fact, it's only days away. Estonia Telia is shutting down 2G in 21 days, and Tele2 is doing it in another 2 years and 10 days. 11 days. No, 21 days. Whatever. Yes. Yeah, so what I would want to do is find an equivalent module. And I did look at some not all that long ago. There were some, were they 4.5G modules? I can't remember. The company that made those, let me see. So ADH 8066, I can't remember who made those. Was it Silvertel? For some reason, the brand Silvertel is in my head. Oh, SparkFun used to sell them. Let's see. Retired, yes, documents. This is the module. And cellular data sheet, no. Reference, no. Looks like it's a broken link. Let's see what else there is. Yeah, I really think it was Silvertel that made these things. Oh, ADH Tech. ADH Tech? Maybe it wasn't Silvertel. No, I don't know. Let's find out if firstly, if this company even still exists. And secondly, oh, apparently they do still exist. And secondly, if they still make modules. ADH, Advanced Design House. GSM GPRS module. GSM module with SIM header. 3.5G module with SIM holder. 4G module with SIM holder. Let's have a look at their 4G thing. Overview. LE910S is a versatile 4G device with LTE capability. Okay, I want one. Maybe. Let's have. Okay, I know this is chasing a project that I really do not have time to pursue right now. Oh, U-blocks. Okay, Mitchell is pointing me to the U-blocks. Might have found a better module. Ah, right, yes. These are the ones that I was looking at fairly recently. The Electronics trade show was on in Melbourne sometime during the year. I can't remember when, sort of middle of the year-ish. And it was very small this year. It was quite disappointing. But one of the companies that was there was U-blocks. And somewhere around I have one of their printed, show catalogue brochure glossy things. And this was what reminded me of the phone project, seeing their modules. So what are we looking at? I don't even know which one which thing do we want to look at? LTE Cat 4, LTE, I don't know. LTE Cat 4 modules in smallest form factor. I don't know. It'd probably take a bit to go through all of this and figure out what category to go for. Why is my chat showing? It's got a. That's better. End of life. Sim 800L. Okay, Sim 800L. Yeah, end of life. Right. Yeah, those are very, very old modules. Anyway. I would really like to make my own mobile phone. And that is a project that I definitely want to come back to, but I have to be realistic. It's there are too, yeah, what is that thing? Error, too many projects. That is me. You need to create a rundown list for each show. Yes, I know. The thing is, I now have, how many? A couple of hundred live stream videos, and the live stream titles are just like live stream and a date, for the most part, with very few exceptions. Some of them say a little bit more, but most of them, if you wanted to find some topic I talked about, good luck. Trying to look through like 400 hours of...
Mitchell R said error 400 quintillion 4 too many teapots found.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Xeon says, just start on it, you'll find the motivation or not. Mine comes and goes with Tiny Watch. Yes. Oh, Trady says, have I seen the Pine phone? Yes, I have. Yeah, there are multiple phone projects around. This one, the open source, so Pine 64 based phone. Yeah, so this is yes, accept all the cookies. I want all the cookies and all the donuts. Yes, so this is a cool project as well, but I didn't design it, so I don't want it. Let's see, oh, they're using a Quectel module. Okay, so Quectel is one of the other big brands that makes these sorts of modules. And I think they make GPS receivers as well.
Said COOKIES.
Yeah, cookies. Sion says there are lots of ESP32 watch projects as well. Doesn't mean there can't be more. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of the time it is not about the fact that something doesn't exist. It's about the challenge, the satisfaction, the personalization. So many reasons for doing things. What am I doing? Okay. Oh, I need a nap. Can't have a nap because it's barbecue day. Barbecue day. Oh. Oh, okay. Cool. Sorry, I just saw a message. I was going to go and pick someone up from the train station. Hang on. I know I should not be messaging while I am... come on. Messaging while I'm on a live stream, but I will. There. Some stuff is logistically... what's the term? Temporally important because it depends on people traveling on trains and things and coordinating stuff. David Crisp says, don't text and drive, don't text and stream. Stephen says, if you ended early, you could go upstairs and take a nap. Not really, not much of a nap. Okay, so if I do ever get to the point where I am going to do a phone project, I will do this. Yeah, we'll talk about it more on a stream. I will not just jump in and start doing it. But what I'm curious to know is hardware design. Right, multi-constellation GNSS receiver available. This has got built-in. Oh yeah, GNSS. Yes. So multi-constellation GNSS. So which means it's location stuff as well. So it's built-in GPS, GLONASS, Beidou, Compass, Galileo, and QZSS. So it does all of the location services. Digital signage, blah, 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 blah. I wonder how you communicate with it. Just for the fun of it. Specifications. I want a data sheet. PCB. I want a data sheet. Why do I have to fill in my details to get a data sheet? 15 minutes remaining.
System notification. 15 minutes remaining.
Ooh, AT commands manual. That's what I wanted. I wanted to know if it would do AT commands. Oh, and you got to log in to actually get it. But anyway.
Austins_creations said check DigiKey link.
Oh, check the DigiKey link. Yeah. Okay. Groovy. DigiKey. Oh, 0 in stock, but I want to know what the price is. Oh, RS radio spares have 180. Let's see what DigiKey have to say about this particular thing. How much is it? $100. Oh, you can buy them. Oh, this is in quantity 250. It's $25,000 for a reel. Yes, I think I'll buy 2 reels. So $100 for the module. Yeah, they're not cheap. Let's see what the radio spares thing is. Oh, Marty is trying to figure out the meaning behind that limit, the I-lim calculation in the datasheet for that high side driver. So Marty says, I found in the high side switch datasheet version A 2 to 10 amps, version B 3.6 to 18 amps. The KCL in formula should be 50 for version A or 90 for version B, 5 to 25k resistance range, version in IC part number. That actually helps a lot, Marty. Thank you very much for pointing that out. So version A and version B, that is the thing that was not explained in the context of that calculation. And what made it even more confusing was in that sentence it said, this is version A, therefore it is A minus blah. As if they were the same thing. Henrik said, you said something about uBlock? Yeah, uBlocks. That's another brand. Yes, well done. That was well found. So no SMS projects anymore. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so Henrik asked, what's the price on these and is the coding simple and, for example, connecting with Arduino Nano? It should be simple. Now, this is technical data sheets, yes. Now, the reason I was excited earlier was I saw the AT command thing on their thing. Now, the way these modules typically work is they use a serial connection to whatever microcontroller you want, and then basic modem commands. So what you do is you treat this module as if it's a modem, and like in the old sense of connecting to the internet modem, and you send an AT command like ATD for dial, and then a phone number, and it will dial that number for you. And you can send, I think it's ATH for hang up. Anyway, there are a whole lot of commands you can send. And what that means is that it is incredibly simple to communicate with these. Yeah, this is just a spec sheet. It's not actually a data sheet. This is it. Like, it's 2 pages. So what you do is connect a UART, so a serial connection from the microcontroller to the module, and then you just send commands. It's as easy as serial, like in Arduino land, serial.print ATD plus blah, a phone number, and the module will dial for you. Really, really easy to deal with. So, yeah, here we go, main UART and debug UART, USB, but I wonder if it's got USB built in. It's got a USIM interface, PCM by 1, so the digital audio through PCM, NetLight, Net Status, Net Mode, ADC, SDIO for Wi-Fi and SD card, reset power key, solder pads for primary, RX diversity, and GNSS antennas. Yeah, so you've got to have external antennas. Audio playback, audio recording, quick file, USIM detection, does all the stuffs. Yeah, so something like this module would be the way to go. But that can be a project for another day. All right. Can't do anything. What else on there? You want a compute module, just plug and play. Okay, yeah. So this particular one is designed for a surface mount onto some kind of carrier board. And this is what the connectors look like. It's a surface mount module with all of these pads exposed. It's not the sort of thing that you can just plug into a USB cable, plug it into your computer, and whoa, now you have a 4G connection through USB or something like that. It doesn't work like that. This is designed to be integrated into another project. So the way phones normally work, I can't remember the terminology, but there is typically the baseband processor, like there are multiple processors in phones, and there is normally like a high level processor which is managing the operating, what you would call the operating system of the phone, and it will be driving the user interface and keeping track internally of its own little logic of what state the phone is in and doing all of those sorts of things. And then there is another processor that is taking care of all of the network side of the communications. And
Peter Lawler said less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I think I might even stop early today because being barbecue day, I need to, I'm just checking the camera to see if there's anyone parked out the front. I can't tell, it looks like there might be. So, hang on, cough time. Yeah, it's like €100. Yeah, these things are not cheap. It's not like you can buy a $10 module and all of a sudden you have mobile phone connectivity. They are, yeah, they're expensive. This is not a cheap project to do. It's a pretty serious project. So this is the 1284p, which was being the primary processor. Oops. For the RG phone, and it was communicating with the processor on the ADH module, which was taking care of all of the communications with the phone network. Anyway, RG phone 2. Yeah. Maybe there needs to be another RG phone. Yet another one. Yes. If you're parked outside waiting, please say so in the chat. All right, last minute squirrel.
Austin's _ creations said last minute squirrel https://discord.com/channels/6130441836320522793579357.
I'm showing stuff on screen that I really shouldn't.
/11829791470022900176.
All right. Enter Discord auth code. All right. Multi-factor authentication. Where is this? I've got to get. Got my authenticator app.
Peter said bingo.
Yeah, I shouldn't have. I clicked that link while I had screen sharing turned on. Oh, come on. Why didn't it take me to the correct link? All right, I'm going to try again. I've got to click that link again. Is it going to open it in? Oh, okay, here it is. Finally got to the right place. So, share projects. Oh, okay, this is the share projects directory. Oh, right. Sorry, I was so discombobulated by trying to get Discord open that I lost track of why I was even opening it in the first place. It was because Austin had
System
provided this link.
notification, 5 minutes remaining.
Yep, I'm about to end this. So this is scanner 1, scanner 2. This is part of Austin's inventory management system. Finally looks like I have my custom inventory system online, ready for the beta test over the next few weeks with the client. Yeah. Oh, and this is the hardware for it. So the hardware, I think you would hold it from the view is backwards. So I think the scanner is down on this part and you hold it here like a trigger. The screen is visible here. So this, was it build? So this text would be facing you when you're holding it. This is basically the end that goes towards you. That is pretty cool. Nice work on that, Austin. That has been an epic project putting that together. a really big effort. And I'm sure your client is pretty impressed too. Okay, now close out that and go back to that. Zoink. Okay, I am going to wrap up the stream because I do need to be kind of organized when people start arriving. And okay, I need to pause and catch my breath. So thank you for coming along. If you are nearby and you want to come along to the barbecue, please do that. Feel free to drop by the Super Lab. All the details are in Discord, and I will see you all next Sunday. I don't think there's anything special on Sunday, so that means that I can stream. We're at the time of year when weird things can happen. So weird things can happen. But yeah, unless you got COVID. Yes. I'm sorry about that. And Wagon Loads is only 12,000 miles away. What is that, about 18,000 kilometers, 19,000 kilometers, something like that. So, thank you all for coming along to another episode of John's Coconuts. And I will talk to you all later. Go and build something awesome. Bye.